Shine bright like a
star. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Moon Days with Michael. I am your host, the Royal Jungle Michael, and I am cutting out the esoteric middleman and giving you the tools you need to connect yourself right to the source. Now, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 6 traits of you being a Polaris Starseed. Let's hop into it. Besides just actually resonating with these 6 traits of being a Polaris Starseed, there is one other thing you can do to find out if you have Polaris energy in your birth chart and possibly carried it in a previous life. All you need to do is go to your birth chart. You're looking for anything in the 28-34 degree of Gemini at this current time. So you might have to do some math depending on when you were born. However, that is the time you were looking for, or the degree that you were looking for, to see if anything is conjuncting Polaris. So, with that being said, let's actually hop into our first trait. The first trait that you may be a Polaris Starseed, or know someone that may be a Polaris Starseed, is that your energy is typically smooth, fun-loving. You always like to be in groups, always like to be relatable, always kind of like to be surrounded by certain people, and you guys are often typically very loyal. However, there may be a downside to this where if you guys do not pay attention to your loyalty, your awareness, what you're paying attention to, this may end up getting you guys into situations that you don't necessarily want to be in. And this is one of the ways that Polaris Starseeds typically get burned out, tired, kind of depressed, right? Feeling down, is when they realize that they have been paying attention to the wrong things and neglecting themselves. Trait number 2 of you being a Polaris Starseed is your natural leadership qualities. Polaris Starseeds are natural leaders. They love to be in the spotlight. They love to have a lot of attention because no matter what they do, no matter who they're with, in some way, shape, or form, someone is always talking about this energy, or anyone who has this energy, you're always being talked about. You always seem to be in the back of people's minds. For whatever reason, people cannot just stop focusing on you. Trait number 3 of actually kind of being depressed when it's not summer or spring or the sun isn't very strong.
Hi, Mr. Sun!
Polaris, the North Star, has a lot to do with attention, guiding people, and being very supportive. However, when it's dark and cold and gloomy outside and the sun isn't shining as bright, these people feel kind of empty in a way. They feel kind of worn out. It's like they're missing a key part of themselves. And this is just due to the fact that the sunlight on Polaris is very pure, very refined. And even though the sunlight on Earth isn't as pure and refined, when the sun goes away for those couple months, Polaris Starseeds are going to feel it. They need to be in the light. They need to be having sunlight shown on them. It feels very good to them. It feels good on their skin, which is kind of interesting. Even though they do love the sunlight, being out in the sun, being outside, a lot of the times if they're not careful, the sun can actually be harmful to them. And this is just due to the fact that they're not quite used to the less pure version of sunlight that comes from our sun rather than Polaris. Polaris's light is very pure, very refined, and they're just not used to our sun's way of expressing itself. So this can often lead to them actually being outside in the sun too much, getting burned, and not having such a good time. However, they still love to be outside, they still love summer and spring, they still love being in the light. Trait number 4 of you being a Polaris Starseed is that you actually struggle with large groups of people. So on Polaris, they have a very tight family dynamic. They love being involved in their families. They love being in very tight circles and living in small communal areas. When it comes to being on Earth, even though they do love their tight circles, they often draw attention from a lot of people. A lot of people look at them. A lot of people notice them. A lot of people talk about them. And with that being the case, they're not quite used to all the attention, even though it just comes to them. So while they may be the fun, love, and life of the party, afterwards, they're going to crash. They can't usually handle the large amounts of people. Now, you may actually pick up on this where they might not want to go out as much as you think. They might actually only let certain people over to their houses, and they might only actually go out to a big party a few nights a year. That can vary from person to person. However, typically, Polaris Starseeds, even though they do like the attention, even though they get the attention and do like being the life of the party, they do prefer tight, small circles and being with the ones that they trust and are loyal to. Trait number 5 of you being a Polaris Starseed, and this one may surprise you, is that you guys get sick quite often. And the reason for this is that Polarian energy often opens up portals and gateways for other spirits, other energetic pathways, and these people might not even be often aware of it. And so because of this, this often leads to them getting sick, taking on too much affliction, they're taking on too many burdens, they're not careful, they don't actually focus on themselves and do what they need to do to make sure they're not doing unnecessary things and making sure that they're staying well and healthy. So typically, even though it sucks, that Polaris Starseeds can actually get sick quite a lot.
My brain is on fire. I'm dying.
And it kind of makes sense. If you're opening portals and gateways that you are unaware of and not taking care of yourself, this may lead you to feeling a certain type of way that might not necessarily be in your pure state. And that rolls into our 6th trait of being a Polaris Starseed, balance. So like I said, Polaris is very light, very fun, very lush, very green, just enjoyable to be at, and Earth not quite so much. And because of the natural ability for Polaris Starseeds to gain attention, have people talk about them, as well as them opening gateways and portals, even if they're not aware of it, they often struggle with the balance of actually knowing when they're doing too much, knowing when they're doing too much for other people, and not actually taking care of themselves, which is kind of a trap that a lot of Polaris starseeds actually fall into, is that they often neglect themselves. They're often very loyal to other people and very relatable, and they love being around other people, especially, their tight circles. However, when it comes down to actually understanding the whole balance aspect of this energy, you have to understand the physical location of Polaris, which is the tail of the Ursa Minor constellation. Now, the Ursa Minor and Ursa Major constellations are located on either side of the Draco constellation. They are the ones that balance out the World Eater's energy from the energy of Earth. Now, if you want to look at this from a physical perspective, if you know the whole snake and the mongoose story of how the mongooses were the ones keeping the snakes at bay so other animals could go and do their thing, this is kind of the same energy, right? So if you're not careful, if you're a Polaris Starseed and you're not careful and you're not aware of this fact, then this can lead you on a path of discomfort and eventually self-destruction. So just be aware of that fact and try to actually achieve balance of what you're doing for others and what you're doing for yourself. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, the 6 traits of being a Polaris Starseed. If there are any other starseeds you guys want to hear traits of, or any other stars you want to have broken down, please let us know in the comment section below. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, check out our Instagram for the daily alignments, an understanding of everyday's energy, every day on the daily. And until next time, fly high, y'all.